introduced his new book called The Future, and he talked about the global brain and how technologies were advancing faster than any time in history, and we were going to literally become a global brain.
Well, Deborah, you've certainly given us an enormous amount of information and well documented, and so I guess, I would have to ask you at this point, when are you going to give us the bad news?
Well, Dr. Ed, I guess it really does appear that there's quite a bit of bad news. It depends on how you look at it. What I have found, quite frankly, is the more that you start to understand your reality and getting out of the fairy tale that you've been living in, the illusion, the more empowered people are feeling. And then you realize the level that you must engage, and we must not consent. And we must start with the simplest things that we can do, and that is not consent with these in-home energy audits. We must not consent to a variety of requirements and statutes that your cities are going to start to impose upon you. These are all statutory corporate rules and regulations. They do not apply to us. They told us over and over again in their documents that their success is based on our consenting. And we're consenting because we have been enslaved by lack of knowledge. This was all planned. We're sitting here today because we as human beings are on the precipice of annihilation. And unless we engage, unless we wake up, turn off the sports channels, start looking at reality, start having meetings within your communities, looking at some of the information that we talk about on stopthecrime.net and other sites as well, and read some of this. In fact, the Silent Weapons Quiet Wars document is up on YouTube being read to you so that people don't even have to read. But they literally, we found on the U.S. Department of Energy website, and again, people can see this on stopthecrime.net under the Energy Action Plan, where they talk about the real goal of energy use. They say it's not to use any energy at all. It's learning to live in a new reality, adjusting our behavior. This is the Hunger Games. This is really the Hunger Games.
Well, do we want to talk about mind control at this point, or should we take a break?
Well, I think that we should talk about mind control.
Okay.
They're not taking any breaks.
So, will you let us talk about mind control?
Well, I think
they said we can.
We can. Okay, so you're having subliminal messaging occurring right now, voice to skull. But yeah, let's do, because I certainly know many people that are experienced, and as soon as they locate,
all of it soon.
Well, absolutely. Well, through the aerosol, they will be dispersing aerosol chipping into us through the nanotechnology. But at this moment, many people have been chipped, and they've been identified, and they've been tracked and monitored as a result of their chipping.
Brave New World. Well, I'm holding a book here by Robert Duncan, Project Soul Catcher, which talks about this technology of mind control, or mind sway, maybe another way of putting it, because it's not exactly like they're flying an airplane most of the time, but I think people are just kind of pushed one way or another. And online, there's another source by Robert Duncan, which is The Matrix Deciphered. You can find that online.
We actually have it posted under the mind control link of stopthecrime.net. That's the Matrix Deciphered by Robert Duncan. People can access it and download it there as well.
Now, you had something you were going to tell me about mind control, and you said that Robert Duncan is under mind control?
Well, he admits that in his book called The Matrix Deciphered, that he also is apologizing to the world for being one that was duped into creating technologies that have caused the abilities that are now being advanced through technologies. He's apologized. He has also said he's working on technologies to help reverse it. But we see it just increasing. I don't see it backing off at all. I'm being told that there are many people that are working to help reverse what we're living in right now. But quite frankly, with the deployment of all of the technologies to the degree that they have them, what is your sense of our future, Dr. Ed?
Well, we have to take hold of it and make it what we want. Otherwise, it's not going to be anything we can tolerate. I think that the new facilities, that there's great talk of collecting data, you know, of all phone calls, any Little League score or, you know, shopping list. I think that the facilities that they're building, like the Buffalo in Utah.
Oh, the NSA.
They say that they're, you know, data collection. They infer that, but they're really, I think, mind control stations, because this is highly developed technology and has been with us way longer than we think, probably more than close to 60 years.
Well, that's true. In fact, I was doing some research out of Pennsylvania, and I came across the rebuilding of future cities. And I have that posted again on the Climate Action Plan link of stopthecrime.net. They've since taken it down, but you can get it there. We captured it. What we found, Dr. Ed, is that all future cities are going to have large facilities for computers. And they've said that they need a very high, they need an ability to access electricity and water. And what we see now is, of course, the creation of the idea of scarcity with us, where they're telling us get off grid as best you can, although it's illegal to be off grid. People that are off grid are having their homes red tagged. We see that in the Antelope Valley. There was a woman in Florida recently who literally was told her house was being condemned because she did not want to connect to any resources. But what we find is that the curious aspect of why do they want us off of the grid, the frequency, the network, the utility network. Certainly some have speculated that they want all of that frequency because it's all weaponized. They've got the dirty electricity. Right now we've discovered too that they've increased the height of the telephone poles, the utility poles. They're transitioning from the wood poles that we've all been familiar with to 90-foot steel poles. They say the reason that they're increasing the pole height, specifically around schools and neighborhoods, is to distance the EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, from us. We know that that's not real. We know that they're not doing anything to serve us. In fact, Sam Milham recently said that heightening the poles will allow greater dirty electricity expansion. So what we have is we're being really cooked overhead with all the heavy metals in the chemtrailing program, all the dirty frequencies now in our house wires, in the ground, and all of the cell phone towers and the antennas, all of the wireless that we have. In fact, Honeywell, who manufactures thermostats for homes, is saying part of the reducing of your greenhouse gas emissions is to purchase new Honeywell thermostats. These have all Trojan horse backdoor traps built into them.
Yes, let's take a look at this poster here. Can you get up there? I want to take a look.